Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You're listening to the House of Cards on Facebook, YouTube, and BigPatriotRadio.com. All licenses for music and content have been purchased by and are for the express written use of Big Patriot Radio Networks. All information, opinions, and topics are for entertainment purposes and do not expressly represent the opinions of the show's host and or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And good evening, everybody. Let's get this off the screen. There we go. Good evening and welcome. It is another Beaufort County's House of Cards, 26th of June. Right here, we're coming to you live from the Big Patriot Studios in the beautiful and great state of South Carolina. I want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube right now, and those of you who are tuning in on BigPatriotRadio.com. That has been over the last, 5 or 6 shows, overwhelming amount of people listening in on the radio. Specifically, the last show that was the biggest one of all, when we had Heather and Kenny Nix on here giving her story about the brain tumor. 7,000 people at one moment had been on BigPatriotRadio.com. Anyway, however you're watching, even if it is on demand later on, we're glad to have you here. Don't forget, we're trying to hit 4,000 stars every show. So if you feel like helping us out, go to Facebook, those of you there, and you can contribute to the show by Facebook, or you can do it on Venmo. You'll see that scrolling down here as well. Let's see. Let's take a look at last week's music. The number one song last week was Cumbersome by 7 Mary 3. Bluffton ended up with the, I'm not surprised, having Heather and Kenny here. They were the number one city, clearly, listening last week. Somerville and Hilton Head tied for second, and Beaufort tied with the city, I think, for the first time, of Cullowhee, home of Western North Carolina University, for third.
Bringing you the best selection of hits for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
BigPatriotRadio.com.
Yeah, let's get into it. And we have a great show for tonight. First, though, before I get into it, and the topic of tonight's show is, where is our money going? And the ferry is at it again. And no, that's not the Tooth Ferry. That's the Low Country Ferry in Defusky Island. But where is our money going? Why do we know? We'll get to that. But first, I still have not heard from any politician anywhere. And you hear me when I say who was the top three. I mean, aside from here in South Carolina, and it's all over South Carolina. We've had North Carolina, Virginia, Nebraska, West Virginia, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, and Georgia. I've not heard from one politician anywhere, not here, not there, and not over there, who has agreed to take the pledge. That pledge to vote or to not vote for any new taxes, period, unless an equal value tax or greater is removed. Simple, accountable to the people. That's what we say in politics when we run for these positions that Mr. and Mrs. America, you can trust me. Give me your vote. Give me a donation. You can trust me to finish that circle. Other than do what you say you're going to do, you need to be held accountable. No one has come forward. I ask everyone listening, call, email, and or your county council member, your school board member, your town council member, your commissioner, whatever you have, wherever you are, and ask them, will you do something so I can hold you accountable and sign a pledge to not vote for any new taxes unless one or more of equal or greater value is removed. It's simple. And if they say no, then you really need to ask yourself, and them more specifically, why? Why won't you? What is it that you don't want me to hold you accountable for? We want to hear from you on this. As always, we have a new feature. You can see I'm backwards, so it's right there. Streaming content. So if you want to let us know something, feel free to type in. I want to hear from you about, would you like to hold your political representative accountable for what they do? Let us know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Your input is very important. So let us hear from you in the comment section.
Bringing you the best selection of hits for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right. So several months ago, this is unbelievable. Several months ago, we brought weeks and weeks and weeks of an investigation and research and more investigation and phone calls and emails and visits to the sites and blah, blah, blah on the Defusky Island ferry service, done and run by Low Country Ferry. We brought all the receipts, put it all out there on the table for you to decide. And was it political pressure? If you felt it was, for those many politicians watching right now, if you felt it was political pressure, then I guess that worked. We put it out there for you to decide. We met with the county administration. The story sort of died off for everyone, for lack of better words. I think promises were made by the county, and in fact, we are now learning someone, and I have no idea who. I just caught wind of this. We are learning that someone got the message to Defusky Island residents to, quote unquote, lay your swords down. Wow. I hope we had something to do with that, because we encourage the people of Defusky Island, the visitors of Defusky Island, those residents, business owners. We didn't tell you to pick up a sword. They're using that in jest, but we're saying it's time to speak up. It's time to speak out. Well, lo and behold, it appears, allegedly, and I say that because the Low Country Ferry folks, they won't return my calls. They won't return my emails. I've driven out there and got met by the Gestapo trying to get onto the marina, give them a message. Here's my card. Here's this. Here's that. They don't want to call me. They don't want to have anything to do. And that's fine. But again, allegedly, and I say that because they won't respond, that there is some shenanigans going on once again. Now, I'm going to share several documents with you. And this is one that I want you to see. Let me see if I can get it up here. There are several documents from the Low Country Ferry. And I don't think that is on your screen yet. So let's jump this over here. And let's do a picture. Y'all just hang tight. Hang tight. Bingo and bingo. All right. So what you see in front of you is a snippet, a cut out, if you will, from the current the original the current contract between Beaufort County and Low Country Ferry. See right here, Low Country Ferry, contracted by Beaufort County, has specific weight and size limits for personal belongings transported on the ferry. And this part, I mean, honestly, Wagons for groceries must be no larger than 35 and a half inches long, 19 wide, 23 high, and not exceed 100 pounds with contents. That is to be expected, whether you're plane, train, automobile, boat. You can only carry so much cargo. There is a weight limit, blah, blah, blah. So whatever it is, this is not out of line, in my opinion. You have to have a weight tolerance. So anything larger or heavier is considered oversized and incurs extra charges. Anything not covered by the siding of the wagon is considered extra, may incur additional fees, according to the passenger guide. Okay, so the big thing with that, in my opinion, is the weight. Okay, having gone there when I worked out in the field, you see the trolleys, you see they only have a certain amount of area, but the weight, I think, is the big thing. What they don't say is that the trolleys do already carry a weight, from what I understand, 23 pounds. So you can really only take 77 pounds worth of stuff. Now, I think that should have been in this disclaimer or this part of the contract, but I mean, whatever, I digress. And what also isn't in there is the fact that, you could bring your own, what am I trying to say? Your own trolley, if you wanted to. They don't mention that. So now let's show you this. This is what came out recently. This is a bridge too far, in my opinion, for what it's worth. A bridge too far. When I was writing this, I said, here are the new requirements sent out by the communist government. Oh, sorry, I meant the ferry service. Number one, and this is something that the residents of Defusky and travelers have just seen. This and signs up and so forth. Number one, a vendor pass now being offered to all vendors traveling to the island to support Defusky. There you see, what time, blah, blah, blah. This will help facilitate growth. That is all hogwash. That's filler. Like in a crab cake, that's the bread of the crackers of a badly made crab cake. So growth over there, visitors, from what I understand, talking to people who own businesses in that arena, it's down. It's down. So don't tell me you're going to help facilitate growth and support. Okay, but anyway, number two, this is unbelievable. While pet fees were reduced for QDR, I don't know what that stands for, passengers, we have not heard that it was helpful. That's strange. Low Country Ferry will be trying a new program to help facilitate passage with pets. Our new pet program will be $2,600 per pet per year, with unlimited passage for the pet, accompanied by a QDR pass holder. Pets are still required. The normal pet fee of $25 will resume if you don't have your pass with you. So $2,600. $2,600 per pet. Heard from some people that have a couple of dogs, $5,200. I've heard some people that have called in and were able to talk to them and said, well, I have a service dog. There are those of us out here that live like that. Do I get a discount? No, it's $2,600. Number three, Low Country. Oh, let me go backwards a minute. Pet fees are reduced. I didn't want to get back in that. Three, Low Country Ferry's temporary suspension of excess luggage fees for holders, allowing for an increased grocery allowance from 50 pounds to 100 pounds, has officially ended. Number 1 and 2, that was like a hug. Number 3 is a smack. They boosted you up. 2 and 3, bam. You could take 100 pounds before. Now it's down to 50. Now, but wait, Well, I'll go into that in a second. It's officially ended. No more 100-pound trolleys. It has to be 50-pound grocery allowance. The policy will now be reverting to the original standards, luggage limits, and equivalent to typical airport standards. A single carry-on with maximum weight of 50 pounds for all paying ticketed passengers, and one personal item such as a purse or briefcase. Go ahead and screenshot that. Take a picture of it. That is quite literally what Beaufort County, or I'm sorry, the Low Country Ferry has decided to do to their ferry riders. Only 50 pounds, $2,600 per pet per year. And that's not a mistake. That's not a typo. It is quite literally $2,600 a year for Muffy, Buffy, and Fido. Are you serious? I mean, really? My first impression of this was, how can they change pricing in a contractual agreement at a whim's notice? I have their contracts, because it's been contracts, and I see nowhere in there that you can just change the price on a whim's notice. Nobody else can do that. I've never been able to do that. Low Country Ferry shouldn't be able to do that. I would love for someone to be able, hey, come on here. You can come on tonight and explain that to me, how in an instance, well, we gave them a notice. I'm sure they would say, oh, God bless you. You gave them a notice that instead of paying $25 to carry Buffy to the vet, now it's going to be $2,600 a year. Well, if they make more than whatever, do the math, they could be paying less. Really? This has, in my opinion, this is B. And again, this is just something that, again, I've had people comment and whatever. This is the ingredients. This sauce that's being put together is the ingredients of a business that possibly having some difficulty somewhere. I obviously don't know if it is or not. They won't return any calls or emails. But as a business owner, I can tell you what the appearance of it all has. And C, again, Section 2 and then 3 was the slap in the face. You know, we reduced pet fees to help you. But since we didn't hear back from you if that was helpful, now every pet is going to be $2,600 a year. I've heard some stupid shit this week. Believe me, I've heard a lot. But that, I think, takes the cake. $2,600 for your pet. So I have 2 dogs. If I live on Defusky Island, go and take them to the vet. I mean, you do that. Normal people do that. That's $5,200 just for Bo and Carolina to get on a ferry. Jeez. Service dogs, no break. What people have told me, according to, and that was from 2 residents, by the way. $2,600. Just think about that for a second. That's unreal. That is unreal. D, to complete the face slap, you know, bam, 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 bam kind of thing. By contract, they were allowing 100 pounds. Really? Again, 77 pounds if you deduct the 23 pounds for their trolley. Now, if you're bringing your own trolley, I mean, it could, who knows what it weighs. And if your trolley weighs 100 pounds, you don't get to bring any groceries. You can just take your trolley back and forth. They lowered it to 50 pounds. If you have a 100-pound trolley, you're shit out of luck. If you use their trolley, that 23-pounder, so I hear, you've got 27 pounds of items to put on that trolley. Oh, Mike. You don't go to the store and buy groceries and weigh over 27 pounds. Well, because I live with a grocery store on the same land and I don't have to cross water, not by bridge, by boat. Sometimes I do, sometimes maybe we don't. I will bet you $1 to a donut that the people on Defusky that live there, I bet they buy their groceries in bulk and bring that over. I bet they buy it in bulk. They have to. You have to. And what about UPS or Amazon or any of the DHL or anybody? I mean, what if I, want to order a new bumper for the truck? You can buy that through Amazon. They'll ship it right to you. Weighs way more than with 50 pounds. Yeah, 50 pounds now. How's that going to work? Do I got to pay $2,600 and put ears on my box, the bumper box, and take it out for a dump? Is that what it's going to cost? No, nobody knows because nobody returns calls. I've seen some people, and I want to make sure that this is perfectly clear. I have seen people talking amongst themselves and have said, you choose to live there, so deal with it. Or things like, you live on Defusky, you can afford whatever it costs you. This ferry service, just in case you have no idea what we're talking about, this ferry service, those two statements are far from true. Far from true. All kinds of folks travel on this ferry. This isn't Hague Point. We're not talking about Hague Point. They have their own. That's all their own stuff. We're talking about Low Country Ferry. People who live on Defusky or who work over there or back and forth. The kids that live around on Defusky have to go to school in the mainland and stuff like that. The service is used by contractors, people who live on Defusky, small business owners, and by people's families who have lived on Defusky for hundreds of years. Some of them. This is who takes the Defusky Island Ferry. And I hope I have that. I hope I have it. It's here somewhere. Where are you? Address bar. Make sure you can still see. This is people who live on Defusky. I just happened to find some pictures. I believe this is Sally Robinson. She lives on Defusky. I think she was born on Defusky. This is typical Defusky, small house, big oak trees with moss shadowing over them. I'll show you another picture of people who live, work, and play on Defusky. This gentleman, and his name just left my brain. This is a picture from, he turned 100 years old in this picture. You can see that he is on some kind of a cart. 100 years old. This is the kind of citizen that travels on Defusky. He lives there. He needs to get back and forth, but he has to pay $2,600 for his dog. This is kind of hard to see. Let me blow it up. This is also who lives on Defusky, who works on Defusky. Here we have a church, and there's golf carts. People that have either gone to church or it's a historic site. So I don't know. Maybe they have gone to see that. It's everyday people. People like, there's an ice cream store. There's a brewery. I think there's a wine place. There's tour guides. There are small little restaurants, little mom and pop things, little places all over the island. And yes, there are families of Gullah descent who've been there for hundreds of years. Unless they all have boats, and I guess some do. they have to use Low Country Ferry. Ashley says, if I buy 2 cases of Coke or Pepsi and a gallon of milk, I cannot buy groceries with my wagon weighing 23 pounds. Case in point. Good to see you, Ashley. Case in point, exactly. When a 50-pound limit, they don't tell you, you got to take off the 23 pounds. You can't do it. You can't do it. Anyway, now, in fairness to all this, let me see where I put that. I think I have that right here. Beaufort County, their PIO, that's the information officer, did come out with a statement. And I don't know what the heck I did with it. Actually, I think I do. Anyway, their statement went something like this, and they did this 24 hours ago. They said Beaufort County is aware that Low Country Ferry has posted notice of intent to reduce the weight limit for allowable cargo transport from, I believe that's Hilton Head, to the island. The rest of it, their notice says that they're talking with administration and representatives. I know something will come of this. I'm glad to see that. That's more than normal in my experience with the county and this. Most do use Low Country Ferry. That's my experience with them, is that usually it takes a lot of barking for them to say something, unfortunately. Again, there's going to be more to this story. I'm almost sure. I bet money on it. I do recommend, again, highly, highly recommend people who live on Daufuskie, hear me out. I see a lot of you out there watching and listening to this, and I appreciate you all doing that. And folks, if you don't live around here and you want to come vacation, come check out Daufuskie Island. Some of like I said, the businesses on Daufuskie Island, they want your business. You're not just a number in a long line of, sweaty people from Ohio and Pennsylvania. They want you there. They want to rent you a golf cart. They want to sell you ice cream. They want to sell you a sandwich. They want to sell you some Daufuskie crab. They want you to come there. Anyway, for those folks who do live on Daufuskie Island, I recommend you call County Councilman Mark Lawson. He's your representative. Call him, email him. Do it religiously. Do it religiously until it hurts. That's what we have to do. This council, to be quite honest, is proving that they have really no spine and cave to, quote, he who complains the most. Think about that for a second. He who complains the most. I remember an old saying from my grandfather, the squeaky wheel gets greased. It's true. They cave to he who complains the most. So Daufuskie Islanders, make yourselves the most.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime.
Let's go!
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
And it is 7:33. That's right, Kimberly. Thanks for coming on. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's absolutely correct. Again, we're going to have more on that as it develops. We'll see what the county does and does in response. So tonight we have part two. Eric Greenway, hey, good to see you. They want business, and the county is actively working against those businesses and the residents, he says, who pay a lot of property taxes due to the property values, yet they get no police protection or recreation programming. Eric makes a damn good point. A damn good point. And here's the thing with this. Beaufort County, Jasper County, Hampton County, put your name county, they have to provide certain services. They have to. That's part of the deal, so to speak, part of state law. They have to provide certain services. Police protection. That's one. They have to provide a way to get to the hospital. They have to provide fire service. They have to provide, name it, drug and alcohol abuse, veterans, solid waste, stormwater, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They have to pay that. They have to provide places for people to recreate. They have to do that. I have never, and this is not a dig on the sheriff at all, but I personally, who have been to Defusky hundreds of times in 30 years, I have never seen an officer on Defusky. Now, I'm sure there's a reason, but there's no 100% of the time police protection, no police presence. No, the Barney Fife at the Hague Point entry gate doesn't count. That doesn't count. Police protection. There is a fire department. There is Bluffton Township Fire Department, and those guys and gals do a stellar job. The ambulance service, don't quote me on this, but I don't think they stay on the island. But I know Beaufort County EMS does get there. It's as fast as a boat can go. And I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming that, helicopters can land there as well. Recreation programming. I think I've seen like a ballpark, but it was nothing that even the lowest denominator in this county, in the mainland, has. People in St. Helena, they need a recreation center of some type. No, I don't believe it needs to be the size of the Bluffton one because they don't have the number of people. But they do have ball fields. They do have recreation available at some level. Defusky Island doesn't even have that. The people, however, that either live there, own houses, or rent, and those second homeowners, they all pay the same taxes, higher rates, but the same taxes as me and you. If my home was valued at 4% because I own it, and I own one, and my neighbor owns one on Defusky, and that's his main house, that's 4%. The rates are completely different. Okay? Just like the fire service. Now, they have the lowest fire service rate in the county compared to like Seabrook or Dale. They get no police protection, no 100% police presence, no recreation ability. People who live on Defusky, Kimberly says, are all wealthy, but they are not. They're average people and renters. That's true. Ashley says they're there when tourist season is high, 2 in a truck. She's probably talking about the police, which I would beg to differ. I don't think they're there all the time. I can't believe that. And if they are, then I apologize and 2 thumbs up. But what about the other parts of the day? Is that saying they're only concerned about the police protection of tourists and not the residents, when the residents are the one who pays the taxes? No, says I. EMS is 24. Okay, good. They have people there. I bet they're probably with the fire department then. So that's great. That is awesome. And I think Beaufort County EMS and Bluffton Township Fire Department, boom, stellar, top shelf. Can't praise them enough. They earn every penny. They deserve every penny. People of Defusky deserve getting the same thing Bluffton Township serves me. Okay. EMS, Beaufort County Sheriff. I had to have them out here the other day. Somebody broke into something out here on the property. Not digging them, not taking a dig at all. The guy's got more to do than just come see me. But I think about that. If I was living on Defusky and somebody broke into my truck and I called, the sheriff on the non-emergency line, how long is that going to take? You know what I mean? How long is it going to take if, I don't know, let's think outside the box. Two brothers, John and Bob, the son of Mary and Mark, they get into a fight. And in today's world, I mean, unfortunately, it's not uncommon to have two brothers, pull a knife on each other. It's not uncommon to have them pull a gun. I mean, that's not uncommon. So how long would they take to get there? If the police were on Defusky, I would say that it would get, squashed pretty quick, just like it is here. But not over there. Kim, House of Cards, you go over there almost every weekend. Great. I love it. I'm jealous. And have never seen an officer. Never seen any issues. And Ashley, 2 hours. She's telling me the police response. 2 hours doesn't cut it. 2 hours does not cut it. And that isn't right. That isn't right. Yeah, she said if you have to call when they're not there, it takes 2 hours. That's not the picture I put up there of Sally Ann Robinson or Sally Mae, Ms. Robinson. Anybody, the gentleman that turned 100 years old, anybody to have to wait 2 hours for services because they live on Defusky, that is not right. That is not right. We're going to follow more of that as time goes on. You'll hear more about that shortly.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Tonight we've got part 2 of the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation story for you. Part 2. Been telling you it's coming. Well, tonight we have that story. And I want you to know that what is our purpose? We are painting a picture. We're painting a picture. The colors are before us. You take the information, that's the color, and decide what the painting is going to look like. All right, we're just going to give you the information. We're going to give you the colors of the rainbow, and you decide what's coming out of what we tell you. Fair enough? Now, we have been FOIA-ing, making FOIAs, requests, Freedom of Information Act, on many documents from the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation, and we appreciate them delivering those at our request. Honestly, even though it's starting to take longer, they still are quicker than many, if not most. So appreciate that. One portion of those documents was about public tax dollars that was given to a group known as Blackwoody as a grant in the amount of $75,000. Now, Clemson University was paid to do an economic analysis of this grant of $75,000, all of which is required. So let's dig in. First, everything I'm going to share with you is now public knowledge. We've FOIA'd it all. It's now public knowledge. In public data, it says this. Blackwoody was to receive $75,000 from the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation for the following. This grant award agreement signifies that Blackwoody has or prepared to proceed with the mentorship of 25 individuals through their cohort programs. It is expected that 25%, and pay attention to these key words, it is expected, this is the Economic Development Corporation's word by word, verbatim agreement, contract, whatever. It is expected that 25% or better of the individuals to complete Blackwoody's program will be focused on making a product, turning raw goods into a finished product. Let me say that again. Turning raw goods into a finished product. Now, taking sugar and flour and chocolate chips, turning that into a mush, and it comes out a cookie, that is not turning raw goods into a product. But I'll be glad to take some. Blackwoody will also be required to work with the BC EDC on an economic impact study using data from their first 2 cohorts. To complete the economic impact study, Blackwoody will provide all necessary data, but not limited to investments made, wages paid, and sales results for participants. Blackwoody will be required to meet these requirements and report their results back to the BC EDC on or before June 1, 2024, end quote. Now, that's what it says, the agreement. That's what the agreement says right off the bat. And Blackwoody failed to turn in their data and the results by June 1st, 2024. Right off the rip, they were in, they were negligent against the agreement. Anyway, furthermore, let's keep going down the road. From the FOIA received back from them, the Beaufort County Economic Development Corp, they, BC EDC, subsequently contracted with an individual at Clemson University. His name is Dr. Robert Carey, the director of Clemson University's Regional Economic Analysis Laboratory, to do the work required to analyze this data. Listen to this, to the tune of $400 per hour, $1,600 total for this one analysis, which I've got to be honest with you, all the data that was analyzed that we've gotten back as FOIA it's trash. And if you want to, it looks like hocus pocus. In and of opinion only, it's trash and looks like hocus pocus. I would honestly like to know how in the world did they come to their conclusions based upon what method did you use? What method of analysis did you use? And how do you justify $400 an hour? Furthermore, how many studies have you and I, it's our money, it's not Beaufort County's, it's our money. How many further studies, BC EDC, have you done with Dr. Carey at $400 an hour? I question the board of the BC EDC. Did you know you're using our money, $400 an hour? Oh boy, the messages are binging in now. $400 an hour. I'm the first one to say I want to get paid what I'm worth. I want others to get paid what they're worth. $400 an hour? Come on. Anyway, we received a copy of a FOIA copy of a spreadsheet from FOIA put together by someone, I'm assuming at Blackwoody, that has 18 attendants on there. 18. Remember I told you earlier, supposed to be 25. Here's where numbers really do matter. And I've seen this so much in the 3 years almost that we've been doing this. Numbers really matter. And you have to look at numbers and you have to analyze numbers and you have to put numbers back to words to hold people accountable. Not just listen to the words or listen to the numbers and shake your head and thank you, may I have another one. According to the spreadsheet, approximately 50% of the information pertains to data that ended in 2022, which leaves only 8 supposed attendance for 2023. Presumably, I say, looking at the data, we see 0 data as to jobs created, and never mind 4 jobs as the analysis claimed. We see 0 data to substantiate that, or even 25% of the participants that were supposed to turn raw goods into products, which is per the agreement. There is 0. Again, not following the contract. BC EDC board, why have you not stepped in and said, Mr. Executive Director, that we're paying $200,000 or whatever it is more a year? This group did not follow the rules. It started in signing this thing. It started in sending in their documentation, and it's continually, it's just like a snowball. The data is so irrelevant and has absolutely no meaning. It has no meaning whatsoever, this data. I mean, that's, hell, I could get out Excel and put a bunch of bullshit numbers down and send it in. Are you going to, does that mean I can get me a $75,000 loan? I mean, we'll call it white equity or whatever. I'm part, Scotch Irish. It's Scotch equity. I want 75 grand. I'll put numbers down. Is that what we're doing? One of the participants claims that before, I think it's called Black Equity University or whatever, the program, they were making before the program. I'm going to show you this. I'm not making this up. Before the program, they were making $20,000 to $50,000 a month. Did you hear that? $20,000 to $50,000 per month. Now, aside from the fact that I call that out, in and of something called quantitative analysis, those types of numbers would ultimately, absolutely, right off the top, that's going to skew numbers in a big way. Anybody out there that's done finance, and I know our county councilwoman, Paula Brown, probably watching right now, she's been in that. She understands quantitative analysis and how results could be skewed by false, maybe, numbers. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look at this spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is done, and again, this is all public knowledge. I'm not sharing something that isn't available to be shared. There's nobody's name on here and all that. So, this document, and again, I mean, this is so you can see how big. This is what they need. Somebody needs a class on how to make a document. So this is obviously a survey. The survey questions are: have you registered your business or your idea for legal taxes purposes before you came? Do you have a business banking account after? What was your confidence level after? Do you understand your target market before? What accounting method do you use after, all attending the classes? Let's look down the rows. What industry are you in? How many employees do you have now after attending? How's your insurance companies, your insurance coverage before? Did you open a storefront or brick and mortar after graduating? Do you have any current employees? Number of years you've been in business. Have you received funding from a commercial lender after? Did you rebrand after? Have you scouted a location? What accounting method did you use before? What is your current employment status? What are some other really interesting? What kind of services from Black Equity University would be most helpful as a graduate? Let's see, financial projections. I mean, the list goes on and on. What's your current average monthly net revenue? We'll get to that one. What's your desired? And I mean, it just goes on and on and on. This is absolutely the ridiculous. I mean, I'm screening past this so fast because it's so friggin' big. And the data is all right. Let's go through the columns. What kind of industry? We had civic and social organizations. That means they're a nonprofit. Personal coaching, wellness, a beauty salon, health and wellness, cryotherapy, day spa, photography services, health supplement, alternative health, retail, photography services, another nonprofit, another photography. Got a lot of photographers out there. Graphic design, home decor, retail, fitness and recreational sports center. Interesting. Another beauty salon, elderly services, very much needed. Custom apparel, service restaurant, childcare, and that's it. That's it. Now, number one column is the topic. So that's why it ends on 19. There are 18 people. You're supposed to be 25. This is from 2022. Let's look at some other interesting things about this. Let me slide this over. Slide it over. Where is your income? What was your average monthly revenue before attending Black Equity University? None. That's the nonprofit, the first nonprofit. $675, $6,500, zero, 2,000, 2, 7,500, 500, and let's go. I want to go down to, where are you? 400, 4,500. Not applicable. But let's go to the next column. The next column, what is your current average monthly net revenue? 1 to 5,000 a month, 1 to 5,000 a month, 1 to 5,000, 1,000 or less. These are all, this one went from, didn't put anything down for their average monthly revenue. And now they're making 5 to 10,000 a month. 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 per month, 1 to 5, generally 1 to 5 everywhere until you get down here. What is your current average monthly net revenue? $5,000 to $10,000. What do you do, by the way? Oh, that's business loans. Okay. Here's one. $20,000 to $50,000 a month. That's your current average monthly net revenue. Wouldn't tell us what the average monthly before. And the business loans are something that those folks wanted. So we keep going. Now, the $20,000 to $50,000 a month folks, we're going to combine these two columns. They don't know, or they didn't say, or whatever, the monthly revenue after. They didn't say. The current's $20,000 to $50,000 a month. They don't say what it is, and the desired is $70,000 a month. I don't know what they do, but that's unreal. $70,000 a month. You tell me that this isn't skewed? I know it is. Following up the list. What was your average? I don't know. What's your desired monthly revenue? 5,000. I mean, that's as honest as it gets. Don't know what it is right now. Most people go into business and have no idea what to do. This one needs to talk about credit builder loans, business loans, making $2,000 a month. Average monthly revenue after attending this was $4,500 a month. That's a hell of a turnaround. His or her desired monthly revenue is $30,000. So they got work to do. This one wants $10,000 a month. I'm not going to beat this horse to death. All of this stuff down here at the end, let's find it. There we go. How do you benefit? Did you advertise? Do you have regular financial reports? All of these questions are mumbo jumbo when it comes to a quantitative analysis supposedly prepared by the folks. Where am I at? There I am. By the folks, all the people that at Black Equity and Carolyn, it's Blackwoody that applied for this grant and got to $75,000. They had to send in all this data that is very clear what they want, and that gets sent up to Clemson for a Dr. Carey at $400 an hour that you help pay for $1,600, $400 an hour. That is mumbo jumbo data. It is irrelevant with a capital I. If any of you want that spreadsheet, I'll be more than happy. It may take several sheets to print it, unless I can break into it and reformat it. Maybe I could give them a hand. 8 o'clock, by the way, here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Again, this is public information now, and as this was received under the Freedom of Information Act, I don't want anybody to freak out. We looked at the spreadsheet. All right, it is garbage for quantitative analyses. Back to the Clemson tie to this. Not only are the citizens on the hook for the $75,000 grant, okay? It appears you and me, we're also on the hook for the $1,600 of this so-called analysis, allegedly, of course. So it really isn't, yes, they got 75. It's us who have to pay for it. Every single taxpayer. Really, we got to pay $76,500 or whatever it is, or $76,600. Excuse me. BCEDC, Economic Development Corp. How the board? This is to you, the board. How do you run your books? How do you run your books here? I mean, I question, and I hope somebody will agree with this, I question whether anyone on the board is remotely asking questions about expenses, or is this just getting rubber stamped? Which is it? Now, I watched the meeting today. I heard them talk about an audit. I think that's a fantastic idea. Even the executive director is behind it. So that's good. That's great. Nobody's accusing anybody of anything. It's the board who needs to rein in the spending. I mean, what a good gig this is. You know what I'm saying? You get hired at 80 grand a year, and in 7 years, I'm making over 200 grand, and the appearance of, with little to no oversight. Fudge. That is a damn good gig. No wonder the executive director loves it. It's a good gig. Everybody in Beaufort County, all of the taxpayers, you deserve a pat on the back for giving this guy $170,000 in raises in 7 years. Anyway, according to documents received, again, under FOIA, the BCEDC contacted Clemson University and Mr. Carey, Dr. Carey, on or about February 2nd, 2024, to request that they do a study or analysis of this group, Blackwoody. Pay attention, numbers do matter. Words and numbers do matter. I'm sure this request was in preparation for the documents to be turned in from the cohort per the contract on by June 1, 2024. It wasn't until February 2025 that the BCEDC again contacted Dr. Carey and requested, hey, let's get this ball rolling. Requested the study. Ready to go. Also of interest, it is important to note that in the return email from Mr. O'Toole, the executive director, to me, well, let's just look at it. I'll let you see the return email from, let's see that. Where are you? Where is the return email? Bear with me a second. Bear with me. I think we got it. It's here somewhere amongst all this trash I've got open. Well, I don't have it open. Son of a gun, and I can't close this out. Anyway, John O'Toole had replied to me about these FOIA. And actually, it's real important that you see this. So let me pull this up here. Give me just a second. There are two statements that are made that I find interesting. I find very interesting. Here we go. And let's put this up on the screen. And again, this is an email from John O'Toole to me. And it says, thank you, Mr. Covert. Thank you for your FOIA request. You see that there. I have included responses for items 4 and 5 below. Item 4, I had asked for copies of the specifics of the 4 new jobs that this analysis memorialized. He said, Beaufort County Economic Development Corp does not maintain detailed records on the specific positions referenced, as such data is provided voluntarily by the originating organization. Additionally, the analysis reflects point-in-time impacts and does not account for any future job creation or sustained economic activity that may have occurred since its completion. Well, the contract agreement says that they have to do this. It's in writing. And future growth is part of the whole reason for the grant. Question 5, I asked for copies of the list of 29 individuals who, pursuant to January 2024 letter from Blackwoody to John O'Toole, graduated from, and they're saying 29 did. You see it right there. 29 did. That's what they said in the letter from Blackwoody to John O'Toole, that graduated Blackwoody University during the grant allocation period of 2023. I just showed you their spreadsheet of 18 people. The same time period, 2022, 2023, it's just been laid out there. They say they had 29 people go through the cohort. Guess what? Your own data only says 18. They still get the money. BC EDC does not possess a list of the 29 individuals referenced. As part of the grant agreement, BC EDC does not require Blackwoody to disclose personally identifiable information about program participants. Blackwoody retains discretion over how it reports participant data, and the corporation respects the confidentiality as the information, blah, blah, blah. There were not 29 people on the document, the spreadsheet, Executive Director O'Toole. There were 18. Numbers matter. Words matter. Words add up. Numbers add up. And these numbers don't come out to the right answer. There were not 25. There were 18. There were not 29. There were 18. Actually, you know, the entire item shown here, the second one, see if I can, well, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, this part down here that I'm just highlighting, that in my estimation, in the opinion of some folks that I have went to and asked, I got some comments coming on. Thank you for the discussion on Low Country Ferry. Absolutely. You're welcome. Like, share us, and ring the bell. People of the historic district are poor. Well, I don't know about they all are, but yes, traditionally, historically, yes. Great, hardworking people. Sure are. Sure are. So anyway, let's dig in, and thank you for your comments. So let's dig in a tad deeper. In this BCEDC line of work, the Economic Development Corp creates incentives. They create these incentives, and it's funny, I watched that meeting today, and a gentleman called in with a public comment, and everything he said is about what I'm getting ready to say. So anyway, if you didn't hear that, well, you hear it now. Anyway, they create incentives. That's all they're there for, is to entice. Supposed to, if you look at their mission statement and their vision or whatever it is, their economic development, not economic growth, economic development. They are to incentivize businesses from out of state, out of the country, all over the world to come to Beaufort County, South Carolina, bring their business here by way of incentivizing them. It's like dangling the donut or the carrot in front of the horse. You know, that donut makes it, they get it sweet enough, just sweet enough for the business to bite. Incentives being reasons why we should move to your jurisdiction. I have listened to these people have comments about why they think they want to come here, and I've heard those that said, this is the reason why we don't want to come here. CEOs, CIOs, COOs, CFOs, they are board of directors of multi-million dollar companies, aren't afraid, and even those who are so up the food chain, they send their front men. They're not afraid to tell you, yes, no, maybe so, whatever. Tax breaks, release of all taxes for time certain, loosening of licensing. There's different kinds of incentives. Typically, one of the only requirements from the county or town is that you create a specific amount of jobs to make this, because folks, I got to sell this to the general public. So you've got to promise that you're going to create X amount of jobs so I can go back to the public and tell them how great this is going to be. We're not going to take any business license money, and we're not going to charge them any impact fees, but they're going to create 100 jobs or 50 jobs or 20 jobs or 50 million jobs, whatever. Here is a peek. Pay attention to this. Glasswork, the incentive was $2.3 million, 69 employees at $18 an hour. Dust Solutions, $100,000 incentive, 12 employees, $24 an hour. Materials Research, $792,000 incentive, 27 employees at $18 an hour. Norman International incentive was $1.6 million, 67 employees at $18 an hour. Critical Role, $488,000 incentive, 15 employees at $29 an hour. And then Greenline Industries, $759,000 incentive, 25 employees at $20 an hour. Now, we're going to prove to you that numbers do matter, because if you do all the math with just these industries right here that I just told you about, Beaufort County taxpayers, guess what? We all paid over $6.15 million in incentives for the creation of 215 jobs with an average hourly wage, guess what, of $20 an hour, or an annual income of $41,818. The median income in Beaufort County in 2023 was $84,819, and the per capita income, same 2023, was $51,657. The average wage created by this $6.15 million incentive that you and I signed on for is, what is that? Here's the numbers. That's 49% of the median income and 81% of the average wage. What does all this mean, Mike? You're blurring by me. I agree with the thought that the $6.15 million incentives by you, the taxpayer, created relatively low paying jobs, with 163 of these said 215 jobs below the $39,000 a year wage, or $18 an hour. What does all that mean? These aren't high paying jobs. You can't afford to buy a house on $20 an hour, $18 an hour. Hell no. Now, if you take the 3.1 million, this is another interesting piece. If you take the $3.1 million in the 5-year operating costs of that $6.15 million incentive, that is $9.25 million more than the total wages that BCEDC says they have created, even though it being low-paying jobs. This doesn't add up. And what I mean by that is, who is going to be able to buy a house or even pay the rent of, I think the lowest I hear now is like $1,900, more like $2,000, $2,200, $2,500, $3,000. I know there's some over here in Bluffton that are getting like $4,000 a month. God forbid if you rent a house in a plantation or Palmetto Bluff. Lord have mercy. That's supposed to be economic development, BCEDC board and executive director O'Toole. You're creating these jobs at $18 an hour when you really do the math. If you, right now, folks, you and I, we just did a quantitative analysis of this entire thing, and this is all bullcrap. This is horseshit. They haven't created anything. When you look at everything that's been laid out on the table on this entire issue and concern, you come to the conclusion of this. Beaufort County Council, you should be all over this like a bad cold, like a fly on poop, or like mustard on a hot dog. You should be all over this. Right now, the steam should be boiling out of your head. Mad that you got taken. To have approved $400 an hour, a $400 an hour analysis contract for even layman standards for a grant analysis of something so minimalistic, so simplistic, that being that spreadsheet. I got a bunch of adjectives I could use. Having absolutely nothing to do with economic development, it is absurd. To take 4 hours to unwind that thing, that's not even smart. That's a slap in the face to those people who have common sense. Then the last show we had, we told you that Beaufort County needs to decide if the BCEDC is even worth the money the taxpayers are paying. That's right. You are also paying them to exist. The Southern Carolina Alliance that we are a member of, we being Beaufort County, can and already does the same very thing and won't charge any more than they already are for Beaufort County being a member. They won't charge any more than what they already charge, and even though it's more work than what they're doing now, they already do the same thing. And then without all the expensive and excessive spending and questionable practices. Well, this week, the executive director of the BCEDC spoke at a county council meeting. This is days ago. And I can only imagine he must have been watching this, or someone showed him or whatever, because he told them, he told them, and I'm paraphrasing, you all really don't need the SCA county council, is what he said. They don't push Beaufort County, and we are their biggest fish. Okay. They don't push Beaufort County and blah, blah, blah. Said that we're not even on the website. There's no push for us. You ought to get rid of them, basically, and we can handle it. The BCEDC can handle it. That is exactly the point we've been bringing to the surface about the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation, just to squash the false narrative about their website that he said. On the front splash page, the very front landing page, splash page, whatever you call it, there's a link for all the counties, that are members of the BC or the Southern Carolina Alliance. Hey, don't believe me, go check it out yourself. This is their website. Go to it later and check it out. Beaufort County is right in the friggin' middle. Matter of fact, my eyes went to Beaufort County first. Finally, on this topic for tonight should be the question, does Beaufort County even need to be a part of any kind of economic development driver? This is new information for you. And to be fair, I've got to present all sides of this. So this question has to be asked. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying this is a question that should be talked about. Some of the folks I have heard from have told me that the statement of Beaufort County doesn't need to be in the economic development business at all. People have been coming to Beaufort. People have been coming to Beaufort County. They are coming to Beaufort County, and they will continue to come to Beaufort County. Do we really need to pay for growth? That, by the way, is now in question. It's been a hot topic. It's widely talked about. Should we even pay for economic development? Remember, economic growth is different. We'll talk about that here in just 1 second. Should we even do that? Do we need to continue to pay for growth? That's now in question. Should Jasper County, our neighbor, to the west? Absolutely. Without question, Jasper County, I mean, they are reaping rewards from the SCA hand over fist with new investment in that county. That's not a tourist hotspot. Buc-ee's ain't here yet. Hampton County, same thing. Colleton County, same thing. I'd like to hear your thoughts on economic development corporations and Beaufort County. Should Beaufort County continue to try and entice big growth businesses such as restaurants, home services, retail, etc.? I'm not talking about those. That is an economic growth business sector. Air conditioning service, painters, restaurants, grocery stores, doctor's offices, landscapers, fence installers, childcare services, elderly services. That's economic growth. I'm talking about economic development businesses. Economic development-based businesses, which, by the way, when you look at everything we've been talking about, the BC EDC has obviously lost their focus. Think back to that spreadsheet I showed you from Blackwoody, the 18 people, not 25, not 29. None of those were economic development. That was economic growth. What were they? 2 nonprofits, retail, 2 or 3 hair salons, whatever. All definitely needed by society. Absolutely. But they're not economic development businesses, which is the mission and the stated driver of the Economic Development Corporation of Beaufort County. They lost focus. The BC EDC has lost its focus. They've entered into the growth side, and what it specifically talks about their mission. So we're going to continue as we wind this out. We're going to continue to dig into the meat of the economic development sandwich in Beaufort County. I really want to hear from you, whether it's now or later or whatever. Do you think that Beaufort County should even entice businesses, industries? That's what development, economic development, that's industry. What industry do we want here in Beaufort County? Well, I want to have a server farm. Let's talk about it. It's clean. I want to have, there's a thing in Beaufort, northern Beaufort County, a jelly ball factory, which, not a factory, but a processing, which I completely am against. But I mean, that does have to, that's more economic development than a nonprofit. Anyway, where are we going? What is the end game? Well, there really is no end game unless the truth brings it forward. Personally, having been on the other side of this, again, I believe Beaufort County does not need the BC EDC. I was there when he was hired, when it began, when it came out of the womb. I was there. At that time, it was needed. We weren't handling business in Beaufort County well then. We're not handling it well now. But when it came to economic development, we just got out of a bad deal. We needed it. Now, things have changed. We need to cut expenses. We need to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't believe we need the BC EDC any longer. Great job. Well done, boys and girls. We don't need you any longer. The SCA is more than capable, more than qualified to do the job they already do, plus what supposedly the BC EDC does. And yet it will save you and me tax money in the end. That's the whole thing. I preach it all the time, whether it's on this show or in my politics. Cut expenses. Don't tell me anything new unless you cut something. You got to cut taxes. I hope we can have Danny Black of the SCA on the show at some point. He is their executive director. We're trying, but I would understand, just to give his point, but it's probably not conducive for him to do that right now. But the invitation is out.
Let's go!
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, it is 8:25 coming out of turn 4 here. I've said this the last show, and I've had a lot of people talk to me about growth in Beaufort County and Jasper County. They're very closely intertwined. My thoughts, ideas, etc., infrastructure problems, growth problems. First, as I have said many times, a county must continue to grow or it will die. Okay? That doesn't mean you have to grow it with, a Michelin plant. No, that doesn't mean you have to grow with a billion homes. That doesn't mean you have to grow, insert here. It has to be catered. It has to be developed for your area, but it can't go stagnant long term. If it goes stagnant for long term, the county will die. Stagnation as a long-term conclusion is a death sentence. Growth does not mean getting bigger. However, let me pose this to you. I'm not saying I'm for this or against this, but again, talking to people, bouncing stuff off, other politicos and whatever, researchers and informants and the like. We reached a point here in Beaufort and Jasper County, but no, I'll leave Jasper out of that. We're talking specifically about Beaufort, where the question comes, should there be a 6, 9, or 12-month moratorium on any new growth that is not already permitted? Okay, permitted being it has a building permit. I mean, if you have a building permit, you can't stop someone from building. You know what I'm saying? You can't put a moratorium on that. Use that time to get several things in order. Use that time, get your planning in order, get your zoning in order. Those two developments. Use that time to get serious about infrastructure problems and do what is necessary to cut the expenses and be able to increase infrastructure spending without tax increases. The municipalities need to have that time to hear from the county, and all parties should get their proverbial crap together when it comes to jurisdictional costs and responsibilities. We have a big problem with jurisdictional cost and responsibilities, donut holes. especially in Bluffton. If there was a 6, 9, or 12-month moratorium, get those donut holes closed. Eliminate those donut holes. Right here where I live. Across the street is the town of Bluffton. Behind the lake is the town of Bluffton. I'm in unincorporated Beaufort County. Absolutely insanity. Insanity. Why do we have all those donut holes? From something called zone shopping. We'll talk about that. I would like to hear from you on this moratoria, which is plural. This moratoria does have legal boundaries. You got to know that. You can't say, that's it, we're done, closing the gates. No more. It's a lifetime moratorium. You can't do that. It's not in perpetuity. So I suggest that you go and do the legal research yourself. For those folks who loudly proclaim, do not let anybody else in, we're closed, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. I know you want it to be, and I know you're glad that when you came here, someone before you didn't say that. I know I am from 30 years ago. But you can't do that. That's not smart. Smart growth, sensible growth, not unsustainable growth. It can be done. The right people need to be in there making the calls, remembering what and who they are there for. You have to vote hard and voice your opinion. Make it known wide and far. That's how we begin getting things done. Well, that's going to do it for tonight, the 26th of June, here on Beaufort County's House of Cards. Let's see. Thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you for all the folks listening on patriotradio.com. Wow. Enjoy that blues, country pop, and classic rock 24 hours a day. Don't forget you can watch us on demand via Facebook and YouTube. For you YouTube folks, don't forget as you check out, send us a couple stars if you will. We're trying to hit 4,000 for the night. We greatly appreciate that. Next week, we are going to be off. We are off next week because America has a birthday. And let's see if I have that. There we go. America has a birthday. So we're going to be off on the 4th of July and celebrate. You can tune in. We may have a remix of a previous Hot Button show. So we'd like to have you tune in. Also, tune in to one of the fastest growing digital broadcasting radio stations anywhere. That's BigPatriotRadio.com. We're going to return for part three of our BC EDC story, winding it all down, putting a bow on it, talking about where the expenses have gone and who has paid for them. You definitely, well, we know who paid for them. You do. Who spent the money? You don't understand. We'll be part three put up in 2 weeks. But for tonight, thank you very much. Happy 4th of July. Good night, everybody.